Welcome back to Pit Race as motorcycles get out on their warm-up lap. It is round 8 of this championship, the championship of Pittsburgh. Let's take a look at the starting grid. It was Garrett Gerloff, 1.2 ahead of Valentin.
Amazing, 1.2, 2.7 back is JD Beach on the front row. And then Anthony Mazziato, great job by him. First Superstock bike, Benny Solis there, Michael Gilbert rounding out row 2. Then you got Jason Aguilar in a big battle right now with Michael Gilbert for that championship in Superstock. Brandon Posh, great to see him back. Nick McFadden, Shane Richardson, Travis Wyman, Connor Blevins on the outside of row 4. Row 5, Greg Braden-Nort, Jody Berry, Brandon Cleland, JC Camacho, yes, Francesc Perez, who we watched on the KTMs earlier this year, is out there along with Gage Reese.
Tony Elias, sponsored racer there. And looking at row number 7, it's Isaiah Davis and CJ LaRoche, Mark Rhodes, some familiar faces, and Steven Dietz, Carl Solitz, and Caroline Olsen after not being able to complete her qualifying session and on back through the field here. Quite a few riders challenged by this race course who did not qualify for this race based off of time. Even though we had a last chance qualifier, you still had to be 110% of the fastest Superstock 600 rider. So riders out right now on the racetrack. They'll get their final look before we go racing here, Jason. And let's take a look at the keys to the race, because this is really up in the air at the moment, isn't it?
Well, Gerloff here, I had to say it. He's on another level. He's just completely on a level that almost isn't fair to be 1.2 seconds quicker than someone like Valentin Debise, and as fast as he is over JD right now. He's just got all the flow going. Everything's good. I talked to Ollie this morning. They've got a great thing going right now there for him. So to see him on the level he's at is great. Testing at Pittsburgh is huge. The guys that have not tested at Pittsburgh have struggled. Benny Solis back there to be fit is outstanding. Looking at even like Connor Blevins, there's some guys here that haven't tested. Brandon Posh didn't test. These are all guys that have just struggled to get up to speed this weekend. And finally, I wanted to give a shout out to Mazziato. He leads the way in Superstock 600.
Yep.
What a great job by him. We've missed him at the last few rounds. Anthony's come up from our KTM series to show what a proving ground that has been for us here in the MotoAmerica series. So I'm looking for good things from him today also.
Anthony Mazziato will be on the 516 on the Mazziato Racing entry Yamaha. We'll take a look at him in the Superstock 600 class. But right here, the Supersport riders, I think the big surprise is JD Beach and his lack of pace. But we're going to see if he's got it for the race as we're getting ready here to get our first race underway from Pit Race just outside of Pittsburgh. The lights go off, and it's the mad dash down the hill to turn number 1. And it looks like Garrett Gerloff, maybe Valentin Debise, and JD Beach with a good launch.
And here you go. JD's going to try to go underneath Garrett. The only way they're going to get Garrett, the only way they're going to beat him, Greg, is they're going to have to rough him up. It's just that point in the season where we're 6 rounds to go, 6 races to go. Look at Garrett trying to run down the outside. JD's going to try to squeeze back underneath him, but Garrett goes, did he go around the outside of Valentin Debise there too, Greg? Hard to see, but as our field goes down, it looked like he was trying to go around the outside. We're just having a look here. This is the guys coming down through turn 3 and 4. We heard that Debise may have ran off the track. So it looked like he was trying to go around the outside. But that's going to put Garrett out front and JD second. Benny Solis third. Mazziato there on that Superstock bike, and Posh rounding out the top 5 right now.
So look at the field as they start to go single file. As this one there is a look at an M4 X-Star Suzuki rider. Couldn't tell if that was Valentin Debise. They have a couple entries in this field.
That's Nick McFadden and Ort and Shane Richardson, and it looks like maybe Brandon Cleland is there. I'm looking also to see if I can see Valentin and if and when he went through.
So as we get things underway here at this racetrack, you can see Garrett Gerloff with a lot of lean angle. And look how smooth and tight that motorcycle looks, Jason.
The thing you got to pay attention to here is how in line his bike stays. The bike's not backing in. I was down and watching him in turn 1 today. I was in the S's yesterday watching. His bike isn't moving around. When he heads off into these corners, everything is stable, everything's under control. So I'm still looking back there for Valentin, Greg. I'm even looking on our scoring thing here, and I'm not seeing him. But look at the first lap. Now, this is coming down into turn 1. It's a front straightaway.
Wow.
His bike this morning, he looks so fast into here. The bike just hardly even moves. You can see it just a little bit of there, but he's wide. Greg, he's off the track.
Wow, so
he's off the track
Gerloff,
right off the bat.
He gets it turned. There goes JD Beach. So Gerloff off. He saves it. There goes Benny Solis. So Monster Energy Yamalu YS Graves. Oh, the big crash in outside outside and going into
Francesc
turn number
Perez,
1.
I believe. That's Francesc Perez. And he took on, he was brought on this week by the Ridiculous Racing crew to ride the GSXR 600. Oh man, it looked like he maybe took out one of his teammates there also. The bike definitely hit another M4 Suzuki, it looked like to me in that shot, Greg. There you go. So Francesc Perez and it looks like Brandon Cleland, I think.
Yeah, Brandon Cleland down. So looks like Brandon Cleland is out of this. The 146 is Gage Reese on the Ridiculous Racing machine, so he's out. So, wow, what a turn of events.
Oh, man. So it looked like 3 riders, I think, Greg, are involved in that, believe it or not. Because unless that was Gage, that I was mistaking. I thought it was Francesc Perez. I thought it was, but I'm looking up at the screen. Okay.
Brandon Cleland on the M4 X-Star Suzuki. So it was Brandon who...
Brandon engaged then, was it?
Those were 2 riders in that incident. It looked like Perez, though, with those leathers. So it looks like the 146 of Reese. We'll get this all sorted out, but it's back up front now as Garrett Gerloff makes the move past Benny Solis. So now Gerloff, after his miscue, exiting turn number 1, running off the track and getting back on. And Solis was able to get around in second. Gerloff on a charge again. This is the opportunity, though, for JD Beach. If Gerloff is raceable at this racetrack, this is as good as JD wanted to have it. He wanted that good start, but Gerloff, he's not scared that he ran into turn 1.
Man, see, and you know, Greg, I could tell he was in fast from the headshot that we had beginning of that last lap. Look at how much JD's bike is moving as it comes over the top of the hill there. And JD's going to do everything he can now to try to keep Garrett behind him. So look at the entry speed, corner speed that Garrett has. He's just found a way to where that bike doesn't back in, it doesn't do anything. He's able to carry a lot of corner speed. Talking to Ollie this morning, his crew chief, he was saying, Jay, really, you know, since we got on this 180 tire, that has been the difference.
That is the big difference. As Dunlop came out a couple races ago with a 180 size tire. And that's the difference. Here it goes, the pass for the lead.
Now watch all through these S's. Garrett opens up these S's a little bit more than most. I say that, and he'll probably run through here mid-track on his entries on everything, but look at the corner speed, the roll speed, just the way he's able to get through all this section. It looks different than everybody else when I was out there watching yesterday.
So Garrett Gerloff, Monster Energy, Yamalu, YES, Graves, Yamaha over teammate JD Beach. He ran off there after the first lap, where he's already set a time of a 146.4. JD, a 145.8. And Benny Solis, a 145.6.
It's really fast for Benny. They made big changes on that Honda CBR 600 before the start of this race. They made some very big changes on that bike. And for him to be as close as he is to JD right now, it's got to be giving him a lot of confidence.
Jason, Garrett just went through that chicane and got the bike turned. You could see like the rear end of JD's bike when he made that transition got really sloppy, and he had a hard time finishing that chicane.
Yep.
No, it looked like he was charging a little bit too hard.
Yeah, well, the thing is he's charging hard because he can't let his teammate get away. I'm looking at that little group behind, and I see Valentin the Bees back there. But you know,
up to 5th.
Garrett's really what Garrett's got to do. He just went 44.8, fastest lap of the race. What he's really got to do, Greg, is just put his head down for 3 or 4 laps. He's going to have a 3 or 4 second lead if he can do that. And I think that it's going to be a big fight for the rest of the podium for 2nd and 3rd. Because like I said, I see the Bees back there right now. Right now, you got Brandon Posh who's doing a tremendous job running 4th, and the Bees is 5th.
One thing we have to think about, Jason, is tire wear. These Dunlops, of course, on this new aggregate. This is a brand new surface. Part of the track was repaved over the winter. The other part of the track, the south side of the track, which is the newer section, built out in 2014, got repaved recently. So it's the aggregate, the new surface, that's causing these tires to lose their life because there's so many edges on the actual aggregate itself as it rips up that rubber. So with Garrett Gerloff, he wanted a good start. He wanted to be able to control the pace because he wanted to be able to save his tire, but he had to put in that charge. And those 2 laps where he was working his way back in the lead could be something to look at as we get to the late laps. It's out 5 of 16, and we know that these tires have been going about 14 or 15 laps, so it could get really interesting towards the end.
Yeah, this is, and just looking here, looking at Benny Solis on the Callum Ventures CBR 600, this is a big race for him because he came in here yesterday. He's like, Jay, I've never been 8th. He was 8th yesterday running around, and he's like, I don't know what to do. Maybe I'll just go send it. I said, well, let's just take our time. Everybody's done some testing here, Benny. And, you know, he told me before the start of this race, he said, Jay, we made huge changes to the bike. And obviously, it's worked. He's ran 45.8, which is the fastest lap he's done of his weekend, 45.4 this last lap. Garrett's back. That thing, if you see how late Garrett's bike just backed into turn 1 and snapped back around a little bit on him, that's what he wants to try to stay away from. 43.3, folks, on that last lap. That's over 1.7 seconds quicker than JD on that lap there, just to kind of show you what we're talking about. And this is where his bike just seems to work so well. All these transitions from left to right, you know, nobody can even get into the 43s, Greg, and this guy can run strings and strings of them. So this is earlier in the race. This is him just getting it back in there a little bit too early. You see how far away he is from the apex. He's very lucky right here to not have that front wheel tuck underneath him on the grass, but he was able to get himself composed, get himself back on the track. Probably just gives him a little bit of a check, you know, a little mental check there, Greg, of like, all right, I got to go put my laps together here.
But this is working in Garrett Gerloff's favor because the longer, the further away he gets from the rest of the competition as the tires start to go off, and they will, he's going to be able to manage it with ease. Yes. Garrett Gerloff, JD Beach, Benny Solis in 4th now, Valentin DeBees on that M4 X-Star Suzuki has worked his way into the 4th place position past Brendan Posh. And then it's Anthony Mazziato in 6th spot on this. He's leading the Superstock 600 battle, as is Jason Aguilar in 7th place. Nick McFadden in 8th. Travis Wyman, who's on a Supersport bike, back in race action on the 24 back there on the Travis Wyman Racing machine in 9th, and Michael Gilbert in 10th, just ahead of Shane Richardson, Connor Blevins, and Braden Orr, Jody Berry, and JC Camacho rounding out your top 15.
Yep, so our race at the front right now is obviously spread out just a little bit. JD's trying his best to just creep away. 43.3 again for Garrett Gerloff as he goes across the line. 45.2 for JD Beach. Benny Solis 45.3, but the guy in the back of the screen there is a good look. Valentin DeBees is on his way forward, Greg. 45.5. He's the 2nd fastest rider on the racetrack right now. And, you know, Greg, he came out, this guy, I say it every week, I love getting out to the fence early on first practice on 600s. This guy comes out of the chute, and he comes out first in practice, lays down a lap immediately, and I really rate Valentin a lot as a rider, especially because he just gets to the job at hand. He'll catch these 2 guys ahead of him if he continues on the pace he's on right now.
The question is, will the Dunlop take the punishment? So we're really looking closely at Valentin DeBees and the attitude of his motorcycle, because I think the easiest thing you can do to your tires is keep those 2 wheels in a line.
No question. But he charges. He's got a lot of experience. As you said in other telecasts, he's done a lot of world endurance race. Now we're going to go a little further back. This is Brandon Posh running right now in 5th. We haven't seen Brandon for a couple rounds. He went over to England and did a round of the 600 Superstock over there. You see Mazziato is directly behind him with Jason Aguilar right behind him.
And by the way, these 2 have a lot of racing history, both from New Jersey, and they grew up together, and they raced each other really hard in the KTM Cup over the years.
Yeah, they know each other really well. They've been hanging out together quite a bit this weekend. But Brandon's another one who hasn't had any testing here. And so for him to be here on the TSC Racing Yamaha R6, it's the same guy, same team that he was lucky enough to ride for at MotoAmerica earlier on in the year. And again, here we go. Mazziato's going to try to sneak up underneath him as they head into the last turn.
Didn't look like Posh was really comfortable through that chicane. Mazziato really nailed it. And right behind him, the 96, Jason Aguilar. And of course, Aguilar leads the championship as Mazziato gives him the annoying signal of get on my rear tail section. No rider likes to see that. I know what Mazziato's trying to create. He's trying to create, let's do some lap times and get away from these guys instead of racing. But anyway, Jason Aguilar back there on the 96. He leads the Superstock 600 championship by 14 points over Michael Gilbert. So Gilbert right now with some daylight between himself and Aguilar, unfortunately, as Gilbert sits in the 4th spot in Superstock 600 at the moment. So Michael Gilbert back there as Aguilar is still trying to eke away in this championship. But here's the 5:16, a good look at Anthony Mazziato, who came up just short in that championship in the KTM RC Cup last year, but trying to find a way back into racing full time. It's a sport that, you know, racers have the opportunities, but it's expensive to come motorcycle racing, and sometimes all the chips don't fall into place. But but he's trying to keep his nose in here to show what he's got.
This battle for second is starting to shape up as J.D. Beach has been caught by Benny Solis, and in turn, Valentin DeBees is almost on the back of these two guys in front of him now also. So we could see a big battle for second as three riders on track. We got three different brands, which is amazing also. I like to see that diversity that we have in our series, but these three different brand motorcycles are all going to start fighting for that same spot now. DeBees is on the back of these guys. He has continued to be in the 44s, Greg. 44.3 for DeBees the last lap. Wouldn't be surprised to see if he does something with one of these two guys as they head down into turn one. They probably came by the last lap, saw +1 on their board, know that he's coming, but let's see if DeBees is able to do it. That might be a little bit too far back for turn one this time.
Well, I mean, the question is, Jason, you know from all your practices and qualifying what your tire life is. If you're Valentin, do you really start striking? I mean, he's not one to hold back, but he's also a very intelligent rider. And so at this point, you just go, okay, I'm here. There's no real advantage. Gerloff is circulating at 43.3, so he's still 8/10 of a second quicker than Valentin DeBees. So Greg, what do you do with this?
We're 8 laps in, Greg. We're on lap 9. He's got a 9-second lead, and he ran off the track. So it just kind of shows you where we're at here with him. But yeah, I think you make a good point. DeBees has done a lot to catch these guys. You know, he knows he's not going to be able to catch up to Garrett. But, you know, he's going to be looking for a way past these guys as early as he can, but he's probably not going to force the issue too much at this stage.
So, leading the way in this battle, this is the battle for second place, is the number 95 J.D. Beats. Monster Energy, Yamalu YS Graves Yamaha. On a Honda CBR 600, right behind him is number 35, Callan Team H35 rider Benny Solis. That's an American Honda supported effort. And then a Suzuki GSXR 600, M4 X-Star Suzuki's Valentin DeBees out of France.
Yeah, and you know, things could get chippy here because JD really wants to hold on to this, the hopes of being able to go into the final 2 rounds and doesn't want to give up a lot of points. You got Benny, who's going to be awfully hungry to get that Honda up into second, and DeBees wants to get through both of these guys as quickly as he can. But he's going to, you know, he's caught these guys from a long way back. Again, tire life is going to make a big deal. And going to get a look here at Braden Orton, who was our last winner at Sonoma. This is so fast, Greg. Wow. Run off the track in turn 1. So it looks like he's on that grass. He's trying to get that bike slowed down. Very, very good job here. Braden Orton getting that bike sorted out, slowed down, turned around, and back to our battle for second.
Back to the battle for second place. Good for Braden Orton for getting that thing slowed down and around that Armco. So as we continue this battle, you know, Jason, looking at the results as there goes Valentin DeBees. He tries to go up the inside of Benny Solis. Looks like he's got the spot. So that was the issue that was forced. So now up to third place for the Frenchman.
Yeah, and if you look on the left hand of our side of our screen there, I'm a little curious, Greg. I see Jason Aguilar's name going down. But look at this battle. Valentin's going to be up alongside of him as they head down into this S section. Is he going to be able to do enough to get by JD? That's where we saw Garrett just kind of slide up underneath JD earlier. Now, in these S's, depending on how good your bike works, you might see Valentin try to get out of one of these little S's and put himself in a proper spot to try to sneak underneath JD. But I don't think it's going to be very hard to do it here. Next best spot will probably be the last corner after they go through that little chicane.
You know, talking to the Yamaha riders, Jason, they said that one of the advantages that Valentin has with his Suzuki GSXR 600 is just how well it squirts off the corner. And so that's obviously a concern because the bike works well there, but so does Valentin. So when they get to the, it's JD up and out. For a second, you saw his foot lift off that peg. So just a brief moment for JD Beach. That might be the first warning on lap number 10 that maybe he's starting to suffer with some rear end traction issues.
Here he goes, Greg. This is where I said he might do it underneath going into the last corner. He's positioned himself right up alongside.
Pushes JD out.
That was a good chance for Benny to just try to follow him through there. So Benny didn't take advantage of that opportunity that Valentin created for him. But now I think what you'll see is DeBees just start to pull away from these other two guys. He's got just a little bit more pace than them.
13.5 seconds to lead now. Garrett Gerloff over Valentin DeBees, JD Beach, and Benny Solis. This is a huge opportunity, I think, for Benny Solis, Jason, because looking at the results over the season, Benny Solis, who sits 4th in this championship, has been on the podium 4 times so far. But but each time he's been on the podium, it's because Valentin DeBees has either crashed out or had an issue. So this would be the first time that Benny Solis is able to actually race his way with a full field of riders, not diminishing any podium he had. Benny's put himself there, but in this particular case, it's kind of weighed on Benny's head, and he said, man, I've really got to do it. So if Benny Solis has anything in the tank for JD Beach, this might be some fireworks and quite an accomplishment for his team. Replay.
You're going to see they're going to go up over the top of the hill here, Greg, and this is what you saw that I didn't see. Just got up over the top, lost his balance ever so slightly, but what it did is allowed Valentin to close up, and then after they went through the chicane, now you can see here, Benny kind of got sucked in there a little bit, it looked like.
Hesitated.
He hesitated just a little because DeBees actually did create that spot for him, and he just wasn't able to do anything with it. But you can see, this is what I love about JD. He never gives up, this guy, and he's pulled himself away from Benny this lap. He's trying his best to go after DeBees right now. So we'll keep an eye on our timing screens here and see what kind of, looks like JD third split, second split. That's the fastest second split he's ran. This guy he's 15 seconds out in front, essentially, Greg, and he's still doing 43s. He's doing 43s so simple. Can't say enough. To see this kind of dominance is not something that we're used to seeing. Here comes the battle for second. DeBees has pulled out a little bit through the chicane. Looks like JD does struggle through the chicane. You caught that a little bit earlier, and it does look like he struggles just a little bit there. These guys are, DeBees, 44.2 that last lap. He's best as a 44.1. He has shown that he can run in the 43s. I think if he would have got out front a little bit clean, I think he might have been able to dip into the 43s himself.
3.5 laps left in this race at Pittsburgh International Race Complex, or Pit Race, what we call it. That's on all of their social media if you're checking out the racetrack. The owners of this track have done a phenomenal job of making this track race ready for MotoAmerica, as now Valentin DeBees on that M4 X-Star Suzuki goes around lap traffic, really distancing himself now. So the pace that Valentin had, he showed he had the pace. The question was he going to save the tire? He took basically one lap to just catch his breath, and then he made his charge. As we look at the running order, it is Garrett Gerloff, 14.2 seconds ahead of Valentin DeBees, JD Beach, Benny Solis, Anthony Mazziato, still just 1 second ahead of Brandon Posh, Nick McFadden, Travis Wyman, Michael Gilbert, Connor Blevins, Shane Richardson, JC Camacho, Jody Berry, Braden Ort, and Steven Dietz, the top 15. Jason Aguilar, your points leader in Superstock 600, only 14 is back in 16th position.
Yeah, so we saw him dropping down the order, so he may have ran off the track very similar to something like we saw Braden do, and that's a big deal for the Superstock Championship. Here we go. Garrett Gerloff comes over with 4 laps to go. And, Greg, I'm really looking forward to seeing this young guy get moved up to Superbike or whatever might be next for him. I know he's got aspirations. He wants to go chase a world championship. And right now, he's just showing that he's a little bit above everybody right now in this particular time in our series. He's just dominated the last 3 rounds. Valentin DeBees, 44.4. So he's a consistent runner in the 44s. Is the Frenchman right now, and he's done a good job after running off the track. I believe he tried to go around the outside of those guys in that particular corner we're watching him go through now, and we got word that he ran off the track, probably across that grass there, got it back on, and he's got himself back up in the second.
Valentin DeBees started off the season with a couple of second place finishes in the 3rd race. He won the race, then he had a couple DNFs, then 2 points, then he was back on the podium for 3, then a DNF, then a couple seconds. So this would be his 3rd second place finish of the season, as Valentin DeBees really trying to get back on track, back on early season form after a huge mid-season slump.
And make no mistake, the team he's on, those guys have been working around the clock to try to get whatever they can out of the Suzuki GSX-R 600, the M4 team. And this guy, he gives it everything he has every single weekend. So, and there's our battle a little bit further back to 3rd, as you can see that JD and Benny are still there, but there they go. They're going through this
Benny's
very
a little closer to
Benny's still there. He still hasn't let go of the idea that he can get on the podium. This guy's in the last corner already. You can see he's already gone through some traffic there that was behind him.
Wants to be the first through traffic, and Jason, you mentioned it. Garrett Gerloff, he said before the race, he said to Hannah that he wants to show everybody that he's got goals. And you talked about it. Is it Superbike or is it going to Europe? One of the things driving him to Europe is his girlfriend is actually Tony Elias's sister. And so Garrett Gerloff, during our 5-week break a few weeks ago, spent 10 days over in Spain with his girlfriend, and he's picking up Spanish really quickly, actually. He's trying to be fluent in Spanish, and I think that his experience over in Spain really opened up his eyes, and he said, I really, really want to be here. So the question now is, what's Garrett Gerloff going to do? He's showing the world through MotoAmerica Series, as we are broadcast around the world on this race, what he's capable of on a racetrack, because given the right equipment and obviously giving the right size tire, and giving him the feel on the edge grip has shown that Garrett Gerloff can manage a 14.3 second lead over a massively talented field.
He's just
of
riding.
Supersport racers.
He's riding with such confidence, Greg.
Yeah.
You're 100% right. Everything you say, he's just riding with so much confidence. The bike underneath him, obviously, is a tremendous bike that Yamaha's put together for him, all the team. But it really is to say again that once Dunlop introduced this 180 rear tire, we really saw him step up, adapt himself to that very, very quickly. And just looking at even the timing that we've got right now, he's just finally dropped himself into the 45s, and I know it's, he's going a second and a half slower than he has been most of the race. He's just kind of on cruise. Some of that's going to be traffic. He's got 2 laps to go. Seeing plus 14 on your board in a 600 Superstock race is not normal. So here he comes. He's going to he gets underneath a back marker there, a lapper, coming Gary Jankowski.
Yep, 115 rider out of Pennsylvania.
Yep, doing a great job. And Garrett was able to go past him and see 2 laps to go.
So the question is being answered, is pit race raceable, and where is it going to be raceable at? And Garrett Gerloff has basically had his way. Valentin DeBee set sail. From these 2 riders, it's the battle for third as JD Beach continues to send the rear end of his R6 sideways with Benny Solis on that Honda CBR 600RR in tow. What a performance here by the number 35.
They're coming into a group also. There's about 4 back markers that they're going to be coming into. They're going to run into them down into the S's. So it could get interesting here. Once they go through this turn here, they go up this big uphill right-hander. And now it's going to start to get interesting as they get ready to, it looks like there's probably some blue flags out. Caroline's moved over for the blue flags, but she's in a battle with, looks like Josh Picard's there. I see Mark Rhodes also. So kind of in this battle is the battle for second also.
Oh, it looks like Benny Solis right in there. If he's able to get by this lap traffic, he gets it stuffed in there. Now what's going to happen is JD Beach going around the outside. Is Benny going to get stuck? He's got to make this move up the inside. So he's there. He's there. So he only lost about a bike length. And so Benny Solis doing what he needs to do to stay in tow. This is the final spot on the podium as the turns start to fade away here at our first race at Pit Race.
Now, Greg, this is where I think Benny's a little bit better. When they came into the chicane, even when they were with Valentin, Benny's bike, look, he runs a little bit tighter line. He was able to get through here a little bit better earlier. He might try to sneak up underneath JD. A little bit too far back right now, but that would be the spot I would think that Benny might have a chance. So getting by Timothy Wilson here, these guys are going to see the white flag as our leader has already gone across the line to get the white flag. And this is going to be a big podium battle here.
There's our race leader, Garrett Gerloff, on that Monster Energy Yamalu YS Graves Yamaha, who absolutely set sail on this final lap. It's 17.3 seconds now, the difference. After he got through traffic, Jason, you talked about, he did a 45, then he followed it up with a 43.3. His fastest lap of the race, by the way, he just did it, a 43.351. Wow. That's the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, so obviously he was in traffic doing 45.
And his tires are fine.
Yeah, he's made this. There's no problems with Garrett Gerloff's tires, and the bike still looks good. He's still charging. He's still pushing. He's 17 seconds out front.
Bet he's having so much fun right now.
Yeah, he's just loving it. It's what a feeling it must be for him to lead a race like this and dominate at this level.
Like I said, 17.3 seconds, the gap there between himself and Valentin DeBees, who put himself in a good position to stand second on the podium. Basically the best you can do when you have a rider that's this tight with his machine and the tires and the racetrack. This is about all you can accomplish. Is going to be second place. Although no one's going to give it to him tomorrow. There's no question about it, Jason. As Garrett Gerloff through the MotoAmerica chicane, now with about half a lap to go, less than half, just a couple corners to go. So here it is, Garrett Gerloff coming through turn 19 to the checkered flag. He comes, and sorry, that's the white flag. We got the checkered. Oh. Sorry about that.
We were just, I thought we were on the white flag just now. So
yeah, we saw that graphic up there. So there's one more lap to go. So So one more time as Gerloff still 43.8 on that lap.
Wow, he's still rolling, and he's probably going to let it off a little bit this lap. Hopefully, Greg, he's got a gigantic lead. The B's done a great job here. And there's our battle for third coming up over the top of the hill right now. They're going to be headed off into turn 1. And is Benny going to be able to do anything with JD? If I know Benny a little bit the way I do, I know he's going to want to take a shot. We're waiting for our super stock leaders to come through because right now, Mazziato has done a great job to lead that super stock battle over Nick McFadden, who would be second right now. And it looks like Michael Gilbert's running third in the super stock race. But here we go, Greg. Now you can bring him home, Greg. He's in the S's for the final lap.
So here's Garrett Gerloff working now the final lap of the race. 143.8, 144.6 for Valentin DeBees. As we sit there and look at Garrett Gerloff's masterful performance, his motorcycle looks so composed through the elevations, the ups and downs, the bottoming out, the G-forces of this racetrack. So does this M4X Star Suzuki. As Garrett Gerloff looks in command, has all race long as the white flag continues to fly.
Last corner, Greg. Great ride here.
So here comes Garrett Gerloff from Texas on the Monster Energy Yamalu YES Graves Yamaha. He ran off the track and recovered to take the first win for Pit Race and MotoAmerica here in Pennsylvania, and he will stand atop the podium. And how about this rider? M4X Star Suzuki's Valentin DeBees. Starting to get things back on track. He ran off as well, was able to put his head down and bring his Suzuki home in second place. And then there's this battle for third going on. Will it be JD Beach? Holds on just ahead of Benny Solis. A tenth of a second that separates those two riders. So it's Gerloff, DeBees, Beach, and Solis as we wait for the rest of the field to come across the line.
And now we're waiting for Anthony Mazziato, who this would be a great victory for Anthony. As you see Garrett on the cool-off lap here, big win for Garrett Gerloff. But Anthony Mazziato has crossed the finish line to win his first Superstock race, Greg. So outstanding job by that young man.
So as we look at Garrett Gerloff celebrating his win, the first MotoAmerica race ever at Pittsburgh International Race Complex. A good run, and more importantly, a ton of data to download and go work on the motorcycle to make it better for the rest of the riders tomorrow. 5:16 Anthony Mazziato in. Nick McFadden and Michael Gilbert will stand on the podium as well as we await Jason Aguilar, the points leader for Superstock 600, to come across the line. He will finish 12th overall. We're going to take a break. On the other side, we're going to talk to Gerloff and see how it went for him. Don't go anywhere.